Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Hard Count podcast. And today I'm going to be giving you guys my Week 9 Superior 10. There's going to be some changes in the top 10. I think it's an interesting week in terms of rankings. So excited for this one. We're back on track with the Wednesday upload. So yeah, at number 10, get right into it. We've got the Detroit Lions. So they had a bounce back win on Monday Night Football. It was a tough week against Baltimore the week before. And I said, don't panic. Maybe not quite the team that a lot of people thought they were just a few weeks ago, but it's still a good football team. I don't think Jared Goff had the best night, which is a little bit concerning for this offense going forward. Because, it does depend on Goff kind of delivering, not making mistakes. And, if they're going to turn the ball over, it's going to be a tough road in the NFC against some very quality opponents. You're not going to be playing the Raiders every week. So, yeah, but it was a win they needed. They were able to get Jahmyr Gibbs heavily involved, so that was good to see. Finally using their 12th pick like he's the 12th pick. But yeah, the defense has been great these past couple weeks. They've been able to get to the quarterback. Aiden Hutchinson has been great. Alim McNeil. So there's just a lot to like about this Detroit team. They just traded for Donovan Peoples-Jones, which kind of a minor trade, kind of an odd trade. But it adds to the wide receiver room, more weapons for Jared Goff. Lions at 10. Good team. Again, I don't think that they're anything special. They've got a bye week this week. And then coming out of the bye, they play the Chargers. This is a team that doesn't really have too many challenges going down the road. I think it's for sure a playoff team. If Goff keeps playing well, then this is a team that can really maybe compete a little bit in the NFC. So Lions at 10. And then at number 9, I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars. And for me, this is where it really starts to get hard. I feel like, a lot of people are going to have the Jaguars a lot higher. If you look at other power rankings, you might see them as high as 3, 2. I think that is completely ridiculous. But it is a very good football team. I did have them higher last week than I do this week, and it's not at a fault of their own at all. I just think some other teams, I kind of think they're better going down the stretch. This is a good team. They've got a good quarterback in Trevor Lawrence that I trust. Do I think this offense is special? Do I think it's one of the best offenses in the AFC? By no means. I think, there are some miscues in this offense week in, week out. We saw a bad interception by Trevor Lawrence. We saw a fumble in the red zone from the Jags this week. And, that's just not going to fly. It happens, but I feel like these moments have been happening for the Jaguars, and yes, they're winning, but eventually it will catch up to them. And I think on the defensive side of things, it has been a good defense. Their pass rush is nothing special, but they've been good on the back end. Tyson Campbell is one of the better young corners in the NFL already. And even without him this weekend, the secondary ended up playing pretty well. So I think this is a very solid overall team. I can see them being a little bit higher, but they just don't wow me. And I think if they're going to continue to make mistakes and, the defense isn't special, the offense isn't the best in the AFC, I just don't think that I can put them higher right now, but they do have an opportunity to prove themselves against the 49ers in just a couple weeks after their bye week. So that'll be a very interesting game. But Jaguars at 9, that's what I have to say there. There's a lot of good teams in the league, and the Jaguars just happen to be the one I put last. Then at number 8, I've got the Dallas Cowboys. And the Cowboys are very confusing because, 1 week, they look like they can't do anything. The 49ers week was awful and everyone dropped them, rightfully so. But then they go and beat the brakes off of the Rams. And, I've said it. I think the Rams are a team that is better than their record shows. And they just absolutely ran all over them in every way. I mean, they've kind of unlocked CeeDee Lamb, throw it to your wide receiver one. And they've been able to do that the past couple of weeks. Dak has played pretty well. They were able to get the ball moving on the ground. Really, everything went well for the Cowboys this week. I think ultimately for me, it's just how much can I trust this team week in, week out? I mean, if things don't go their way right out the gate, are they really going to hold on? Yes, the Chargers game, they pulled it out, but it's the Chargers. That's what they do. So I just don't think we can get this week in, week out consistency from Dak, from this offense that we're going to need to see for them to be any higher on this list. Yes, when they're playing at their best, when everything's coming together, when Dak is playing well, extending plays, not taking unnecessary sacks, the ball's moving on the ground. This is a very, very good team when they're getting after the quarterback, when the secondary is playing well. All of that talent comes together and it works. And they are very hard to beat in that state, but we don't see that every week. And looking back in the past, I just don't have that much confidence the Cowboys are just going to put it all together in the playoffs. A team like the Chiefs, a team like the Bengals. These are teams we know at the end of the day are going to pull it together, and we just haven't seen that with the Cowboys. So, I don't know if we are going to get the good version of the Cowboys at the end of the year. So, Cowboys, when they're on. Very good football team. They're my number 8 team. They've got a very big in-division matchup this week against the Eagles. If they can pull that off, that'll be very promising for this team as they kind of need that marquee win after getting beat down by the 49ers, who's really like the only NFC true contender that they've played thus far. So we'll see how they play against the Eagles, and maybe they can move up on this list. But for now, I've got them at 8. And then at number 7, I've got the Buffalo Bills, who, again, I feel like I say this every week, just a super confusing team. I mean, they just won against the Buccaneers. It didn't feel like anything special. When Josh Allen is great, this team wins. This team wins games, and they are very tough to beat. I just think this team at this point is too Josh Allen dependent. If he's not making great throw after great throw, if he's not really controlling the offense, they kind of get really stagnant. They're not able to get the ball moving on the ground all too well. But this week was a perfect example of what a good Bills team looks like. When Josh Allen plays really well, gets the ball, spreads it out. I mean, Khalil Shakir had a big week for them. Gabe Davis. They got Dalton Kincaid involved with the absence of Dawson Knox, and Kincaid, I think, can be a big part of this offense moving forward. But yeah, the defense is a good defense. And the offense is good when Josh Allen is great. So this is an interesting team in the AFC. I talked about teams that put it together. I think the Bills kind of are one of those teams down the stretch. You kind of know that they are going to compete. Josh Allen's going to be playing well. But can they put it together game in, game out? And when Josh Allen isn't fantastic, is this team a team that's really going to be able to do anything? So, Bills, good team, not a great team. They've got a really interesting matchup this weekend against the Bengals on Sunday Night Football. I think that'll tell us a lot about how the AFC playoff picture is going to shake out. And I think that could be a preview of a playoff game we see in the future. So we'll keep an eye on that. But the Bills, number 7 on my rankings. Then at number 6, I've got the San Francisco 49ers, who've lost 3 games in a row. And I mean, this 49ers team just simply is not the team that I thought they were. Yes, they've been missing some weapons and whatnot, but still, Brock Purdy has not been playing great in this, and the results are showing for it. I mean, I think that they're just having trouble when they don't completely dominate the pace of a game. When, an interception or something goes wrong, they kind of start spiraling, not knowing what to do. I mean, I saw a stat that Kyle Shanahan is 1-31 in games when he is trailing entering the fourth quarter. I just don't think this team really has the ability to improvise at this point. I mean, if the run game isn't working like they planned, if Brock Purdy makes a mistake or two and they got to dig themselves out of a hole, the game plan isn't working, they're kind of getting matched in terms of physicality, the 49ers team can kind of get stunned. Now, this is still a super talented team, great defense. I mean, they just acquired Chase Young at the trade deadline, which is big for them. I mean, now you kind of get someone on the opposite side of Nick Bosa that can get pressure, reuniting those Ohio State guys, so that's fun. But still a great defense and an offense that will be getting pieces back. Deebo Samuel will be back, and they will be okay. And when they are dominant, they are super dominant, and not everyone can match them physically. They will get right. It's just I don't think they're as dominant as I thought they were, and I don't have as much faith in this team, in Brock Purdy at the end of the day, to lead this team to week in, week out success against the best teams like I thought that he did at the start of the season when they were my number 1 team, number 2 team. So 49ers at number 6, they're going to drop a couple spots there. But then at number 5, I've got the Cincinnati Bengals, who one of the biggest winners of this week. I mean, we just talked about the 49ers. The Bengals look like they are back. They moved back into the top 5 here. We should never panic. We should have never panicked on the Bengals. I mean, it's Joey B. He's back. He's back to being one of the top 3-4 quarterbacks in the NFL. I mean, 31-17 against the 49ers. That's a huge victory for them going forward. I think we finally saw Joe Burrow kind of break out of his shell. You know, we have been seeing that injury affect him, and I think a lot of it comes with the play extension. I mean, Joe Burrow, one of his best traits is moving around in the pocket, you know, sensing when to escape, and then rolling out, creating, you know, finding Jamar Chase, finding whoever for that extra gain, or, you know, running for 10 yards. We saw a little bit of that we hadn't seen all year from the Bengals. It just gives them more versatility. It gives Joe Burrow the opportunity to do what he does best. And this offense was unlocked because of it. I mean, and they did a great job kind of stifling the 49ers offense, which is not easy to do. They kind of matched them physically. And it just was a win on all fronts for the Cincinnati Bengals. This is the team we all expected coming into the year. They've got a big game against the Bills this weekend. Maybe they can keep that hot streak rolling. I think if they get a win here, it's going to be a very interesting division race between them and the Ravens going forward. But this team's going to make the playoffs. Joe Burrow's back to being one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I should never have dropped the Bengals. They are here to stay in the top 5. So Bengals at 5, huge win this week against the 49ers, and a great game this weekend against the Bills. So, yep. And then at number 4, I've got the Miami Dolphins, who, I mean, it's the most explosive offense in the NFL. 31-17 against the Patriots. Tua, I believe, 6 in a row against Belichick. No quarterback has ever done that. 6-0 against Belichick, which is crazy. I mean, he hasn't been able to figure him out at all. You know, we've watched him play against Josh Allen, some other guys he plays time and time again, and kind of figure him out, kind of find out how to give him trouble. And Belichick really just hasn't been able to do that here with the Miami Dolphins. I think there's just so much speed. Tyreek Hill, the best receiver in football. Jalen Waddle. I mean, they're going to get Achane back soon, week 11, which will be great for this offense. Historically efficient running back. So there's just so much to like with the Dolphins. Now, I do have my questions about, is Tua going to be able to keep up at the end of the day with Lamar Jackson, with the Patrick Mahomes? Is he going to be able to make that extra play when he kind of gets uncomfortable? You know, we've seen against the Bills, against the Eagles, where the Dolphins just kind of shut down. They just completely get outmatched. And people are talking like, oh, the Dolphins can't beat a good team. I don't think that's true at all. I think that this team can keep up with anyone. This offense can score at any moment. They just need to kind of not shut down and not change the game plan, keep up the speed, keep up running Tyreek deep, doing what this offense does best. They've got a big game against the Chiefs this weekend. It'll be a lot of fun to see. Can the Dolphins finally get that win that they need to really push them over the top? Because there have been those looming questions. 28-point loss to the Bills, 14-point loss to the Eagles, who are the real two best opponents they've played by a good margin this season. So we'll see with the Dolphins. I think this is a very, very good team. Maybe the best offense in football. Still, they have had trouble stopping the run, but it's just such a great team. I think getting Jalen Ramsey back in that secondary will help kind of have like the alpha guy. One of the best corners in the league back there will help a lot. So, yeah, Dolphins at 4. Great team. Big matchup this weekend against the Chiefs. So keep an eye on that. But yeah, Dolphins at 4. Then at 3, I've got the Baltimore Ravens staying at 3. Not too much to say about the Ravens here. They took care of business against the Cardinals, which they needed to do. They've got a good game this weekend against the Seahawks, who are a team that's 5-2, a good NFC team. So that'll be a good one. If the Ravens can win this, their chances in the division are a lot higher. It'll be a big game for them, big game for Lamar Jackson. But I do think this is one of the most complete teams in the league. That's why I've got them in the top 3. They can run the ball. When Lamar Jackson's playing well, the passing game has been good this year. I feel like for the past few years, it's like the passing game really isn't. Lamar Jackson's just, when he has a great game, he kind of puts the team on his back. But now, receivers are getting open. There's guys, there's some separation. You can definitely tell the difference watching this offense this year. So, obviously the defense has been one of the best in football. I think they've allowed the fewest touchdowns. They're allowing the fewest points per game in the NFL. It's been a very well-rounded team. Whenever you have a defense like that with a quarterback as explosive as Lamar Jackson, an offense that's working, it's a very good team. So Ravens are complete. They're at number 3. And then at number 2, I've got the Philadelphia Eagles, who are going to be at number 1 for a lot of people this week. We'll talk about my number 1 team in a minute. The only 7-win team, the Philadelphia Eagles, which is big for them. They've got a big matchup against the Cowboys. If they win that, they should cruise to their division victory. Now, they do have a tough schedule going forward, but it's the Eagles. They'll be okay. A.J. Brown, absolute monster. There is an argument that he is playing like the best receiver in football right now. I always say it's Tyreek. Why should we ever question Tyreek? And I'm not questioning him. But A.J. Brown, he's sure been playing like it. Seems like he's unguardable right now. At the catch point, you just can't beat him. So he's been dominant. Devontae Smith had a big touchdown this week. Obviously the best offensive line in football. Jalen Hurts, if he keeps stepping up, if he keeps playing like this, it seems very difficult to stop. The defense, it's very good. It's very good. I feel like Washington, Sam Howell played well, and I feel like he kind of does that always. And this team, for some reason, struggles with Washington. But it is a good defense. They can get after the quarterback. They've got talent on the back end. Kevin Byard, new addition, so that'll be good for them. But yeah, the Eagles at number 2, very good football team. Some big games. We got the Cowboys obviously this week and some other tough games coming up. So that'll be interesting to watch for the Eagles. But yeah, very explosive offense. When Hurts is on, this team is great, fantastic. Getting DeAndre Swift involved, A.J. Brown playing like one of the best receivers in football. Great wide receiver too. It's just such a well-rounded team. I talked about the Ravens being well-rounded. The Eagles are just like that. So, Eagles at number 2, and then at number 1, the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know some people might have some problems with this. People are going to be dropping them in their rankings after they lost the Broncos. But if you watched me last week and you watch me ever, I said, why do I ever take the Chiefs from 1? And I know it seems like a lazy thing to say. But one game isn't enough. I think it just kind of, these games happen. I feel like every year this happens with the Chiefs. They play a game or two where Mahomes, he isn't the greatest quarterback of all time for one game. He's not making play after play. This team just kind of feels a little sluggish coming out. In division, it's a Broncos team that's been playing better as of late. So I'm just not going to panic. I mean, this is the first game they've lost since week 1. They had won 6 in a row. It almost feels like it was due. It's hard to win games in the NFL. And it happens. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's Travis Kelce. If you think, at the end of the day, I just do not think looking at that past game, one game, it doesn't change how I think this team is going to play next week, the week after, how I think they are going to be at the end of the season. Do I think that watching them lose that game makes me think any less the Chiefs are going to be the team that's the Super Bowl favorites representing the AFC? No, not at all. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's Travis Kelce. It's Andy Reid. I say it every week. I'll say it again. Chiefs, for now, no reason to take them from 1. I know people might have a problem with that, but it is what it is. So, Chiefs at number 1, and that rounds out my top 10. We've got a little bit of movement this week. I think the rankings were interesting. A lot of close teams, I'd say, between 4 to 9, that range. I had difficulty ranking them, and I could see a lot of arguments for a lot of different teams in a lot of different places. But that's how I would rank them. So we've got a lot of big games this weekend. We talked about them: Chiefs, Dolphins, Ravens, Seahawks, Cowboys, Eagles, Bills, Bengals. 8 teams on this list. So we could see a lot of shaking up next week. It'll be an interesting week for sure. So stay tuned next week. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, until next time, peace.